My name is Jane Moen. I'm the executive director of A Little Compassion and the Nest Coffee House, which is located in Deep River, Connecticut. Our story's a little complicated because we're a nonprofit with also a revenue generating business. So the nonprofit, which is called Little Compassion, was formed based on a number of us in our community getting together, doing a focus group, and really looking at what kind of services were needed in our community for young adults with autism and other neurodiversities. And we really came together and were like, yes, we could do this. And from the very beginning, part of that plan was to create a nonprofit umbrella that would help to support from a funding and structure standpoint, creating a business that would be a coffee shop that would be the place where sort of all the magic happened, where we could provide our employment services to those young adults, have gathering social opportunities for young adults, and also set out to really change what the general community sees and knows and understands about young adults with autism and intellectual disabilities and neurodiversities. So it was kind of a three-prong approach: is can we do all of this? And can we do it here in our small community? Because we felt strongly that our young adults were not being served in those areas, and we didn't want them to be going to the city to try to find the services and support they needed, that was something that should be right there where they live and in their community. I became involved in WBDC a little over a year ago, wanting to get a little more information and support for helping us to really grow stronger. We were mid the pandemic and was realizing that we needed to find a way to be creative and to pivot and to be sure we were continuing to be viable and sustainable and sort of change with the times, but yet keep true to our mission, which was a lot to ask. So we got some great advice on how to do some of that pivoting, how to engage our community in that, how to, really sort of calculate out what was viable and what wasn't viable. And then have continued to have a relationship with Samantha ever since. It was quite a surprise to me because from my perspective, we're growing and we're doing so many amazing things. I guess what's hard is I feel like this journey is going to be happening for a long time, and especially in response to COVID. But what it said to me that I guess I needed to hear was that we are doing something right, and we are considered a viable business that's going somewhere, because it's hard. It's easy to doubt yourself when you're in the midst of a brand new business and a global pandemic. The confidence I think that I got from those interactions and just the little spurring to keep going, and the financial support, because for me as a small business owner, my background is in counseling and marketing. So I've got a lot of the tools, and I always knew I was smart enough that I could figure things out. When we created our nonprofit, I became a lawyer by Google. I became a nonprofit expert by Google. Like, I just kept learning and learning and learning. And, you don't know your capacity for that. And it's hard, and it's really uphill. So I think the confidence and having someone sort of behind you and steering you and sending you to other resources really made all the difference. So it's great to be recognized. I feel like our whole community is really who's built the Nest and stood beside us. We would not be here if we didn't have such an amazing community. I'm honored and proud. Well, we've got a lot to think about, because as a nonprofit with a business, and the business is completely integral to the success of us having the impact we want to have with the young adults that we serve. Our goal is to be able to have more and more young adults who are, 18 to 30, who have had a difficult time getting their start in the world of work, and to give them that start, build their confidence, and then send them off out of our nest to fledge and do other things. So that's a lot. We are not looking at long-term employment, and there's so many young adults that need that. In the next 10 years, 500,000 young adults with disabilities are going to be aging out of their school systems. And that means, for the most part, that they'll be falling off what we call the service cliff. left to their own to try to figure out how to become an adult and earn a living wage in this world, which is hard for anybody to do. And if you have some challenges in terms of your social interactions or the way you process the world, it can be darn near impossible. So we have to find a long-term sort of sustainability plan to be able to do that. And as we've grown, the wonderful thing is we've gotten more and more community support. We've applied for a number of grants, including one from WBDC that'll help us to do a better job with our business. But we're really looking at, are there any really creative ways we haven't thought of yet? And because we've grown and people know us now and sort of trust us for our track record, I just feel super blessed because we have people now coming to us with what they think are some good options for us. So it's exciting and it's terrifying, but it's a wonderful ride. There's a lot of places to get a cup of coffee. And we have really awesome coffee and we have really awesome baked goods and sandwiches. And that's all really wonderful. But really, there's not very many places where you can walk in and feel and see a mission in action. So it's more than a cup of coffee. I always tell people that cup of coffee has the power to change lives. It's a cup of coffee, but honestly, it makes a huge impact. And we also have at the shop that we started, one of our pivots during COVID when our table spaces were all empty, was we created a place called the Possibilities Boutique within the Nest Coffee House. It's all goods that are made in our area for the most part, but 50% of the goods in there are made by young adults with disabilities that many of them also work at our shop. Folks on the spectrum are often very creative people. So it gave them an outlet to show their work, to make some money, and to be seen by the community in a whole different light. And that's what needs to happen. We need to see these young adults, embrace them, value them for who they are, not see what's different about them. So I would love for people, wherever they are, to stop by Little Deep River, come get a cup of coffee, see the power of that impact right here, and be part of our journey to grow and serve more kids across our state.